So, you're the Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, and you've just decided to invest huge amounts of your country's almost limitless money into football. But why? Well, first, your country is heavily dependent on its vast oil reserves, and you want to find ways to diversify your nation's portfolio. Almost 60% of your population are classed as either overweight or obese, and this is costing you $3.8 billion a year in public health expenses. 67% of your population are aged 35 or under, and you want to transform Saudi Arabia into a forward-looking Arab nation that will appeal to this younger and growingly liberal demographic. How do you tackle all three? Football. 80% of your football-loving nation either play, watch, or casually follow the sport. Saudi Arabia already has a long footballing heritage, with the national team regulars at World Cups and the leading club sides historically pulling in crowds of 20,000 plus. Your next-door neighbors just hosted the last World Cup, and you saw firsthand how much of a roaring success it was, and you want a piece of the pie for yourself. While 2030 only remains an outside chance, by 2034 or 2038, it looks inevitable for the World Cup to head back to the Middle East. You are already due to host the Asian Cup for the first time in 2027 and have already put in a bid to host the Women's Asian Cup in 2026. So the question is, what now? You set out with the ambitions of catapulting the Saudi Pro League to one of the top 10 best leagues in the world, technically, commercially, financially, and media-wise. The first step in achieving this goal is signing Cristiano Ronaldo, who already proudly proclaimed that he could one day see the Pro League being mentioned among the top 5 leagues in the world. But in January 2023, the SPL ranked as the 58th best domestic league in the world. You've now climbed up to 54th thanks to performances by your teams in elite Asian competitions. You accept that becoming one of the world's best leagues will not happen overnight, but a plan is in place, supported by enormous financial capital to accelerate development over the next 5 to 7 years. Well, first you acquire the Saudi Premier League's 4 biggest clubs. The initial plan is for the 4 key clubs to acquire 3 to 4 elite players, with at least 1 elite player at every other club for this season. As the reported offers to Mbappe and Messi show, your budget is in effect limitless. If the right player becomes available, the money will be found. Now, the money can't just be spent on players alone, but on coaches, executives, infrastructure, and marketing. As long as the SPL continues to grow, that money will remain available, and with money comes increased chance of success. This can already be seen in the SPL's ability to secure a landmark international TV deal with DAZN to broadcast the league in multiple territories. Another way to establish yourself as one of world football's major domestic leagues over the next decade or so is through investment at grassroots level. There's already an emphasis on grassroots football, and announcements in that area are expected to be rolled out in the coming months to ensure there are homegrown players to go alongside the big-name signings. So now you've done all of this, and you can just sit back and watch all the money and World Cups pile up. Wrong. The goal is to build up the brands of the clubs, then bring in private investors to buy them, and eventually go from a league of state-owned clubs to a league of sustainable privately owned clubs. Ultimately, for the plan to be successful, the SPL must ensure they can not only buy the best talent in the world, but also have the grassroots infrastructure to produce and develop them themselves. They must reach a point where the next Haaland or Mbappe choose a Saudi team as their big move over Manchester City or PSG. But what do you think? Do you think the Saudi Pro League could become the best league in the world? Comment below, and if you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Starting this week, we are going to do weekly rundowns of the SPL results and how the likes of Ronaldo, Neymar, and Mane have got on each week, as well as any news about the league, so stay tuned.